Yeah, I remember. To be honest, it was The Rock, Hollywood Hogan, and Dave Bautista, and they were my favorite wrestlers at the time. And then The Rock went off to do movies. Um, and then I heard that Dave Bautista was off to do movies. I was like, oh my god, really? And I just thought that'd be cool. I thought Dave Bautista was just like, he was just so fucking cool, man. And he's done. I don't think Dave Bautista's done a film yet that I've not enjoyed. Uh, every single film he's done, I've actually really, really liked. The He did a film recently where it's like the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and it was him. I think it was four other people, and they went to this cabin where there's a gay couple living with their daughter. I think they're on holiday there, and basically they had to convince one of the couple or one half of the couple to kill the other to save the whole world. And it was actually a really cool film. Very underrated. Never knew. I didn't even know it had come out. I just stumbled across it randomly. But it was such a good film. Um, and I'll be honest, I think he's a much better actor than a lot of people give him credit for. Um, and I came across this. I thought, you know what, that'll be interesting. I'll check it out. So let's have a look, shall we?
Only older models too.
You new models are happy scraping that because you've never seen a miracle.
And if you've never seen a miracle, then please allow us to direct your attention to the career
That's the
arc
film.
of professional wrestler turned Hollywood star Dave Bautista. He's not even close to being the first person to make that particular professional transition, but he has seemingly pulled off something that none of his predecessors were able to do. He escaped the stereotypes wrestlers are usually stuck playing and convinced the world to take him seriously as a dramatic actor. But before we explain how he put a smackdown on Tinseltown, why not take a moment to subscribe to the Nerdstalgic channel? Born in
Yeah, guys, subscribe, please. It really, really helps the channel out. One thing about Dave Bautista and his performances that I really, really, really like is, as this guy's just said, he's not just the big brute of a wrestler, but he can make himself look really, really old. He can look like really old if he wants to. And I always look at it and go, oh my god, he looks so much older. And then in some other time, he'll look much younger. He's really good at adapting to what he needs to be in the film.
1969 in Washington, D.C., Dave Michael Bautista
11 years
Jr.
old,
grew
isn't he?
up in a rough neighborhood, surrounded by poverty and violent crime. After brief stints as a car thief, a bouncer, a lifeguard, and a bodybuilder, Bautista first auditioned to become a professional wrestler at the ripe old age of 30.
I didn't honestly know what I wanted to do with my life, like for the rest of my life, till I was about 30 years old. And that's when I knew that I wanted to entertain people.
He initially tried out for the WCW, but did so badly, he was told he'd never make it as a wrestler and was sent home. Nevertheless, just a year later, Bautista was signed to a developmental contract by the WWF. Under their tutelage, he quickly became skilled at the physical side of the sport. But ironically, the man who would be Drax the Destroyer was extremely uncomfortable with the performing side of the job, often being too nervous to even speak during interviews. After a lot of training and hard work, he would make his televised debut as the heel Deacon Bautista on SmackDown in May of 2002.
God, he looks so young there. That doesn't even look like him. He looks stupidly young, like a 25-year-old.
For Deacon Bautista.
The Deacon shtick was quickly dropped, and he joined up with the popular heel stable, Evolution, which also included wrestling stars like Triple H, Randy Orton, and Ric Flair. Evolution storylines would bring Bautista to the forefront of the WWE, and in 2005, he won his first of 6 WWE World Championships. But according to Bautista, even though he had come to be the face of WWE SmackDown, most of the chances to appear in WWE-produced films and television commercials seemed to go to the face of the WWE's Raw, John Cena.
And his name is John Cena!
What do I think of Cena? I think he's all right. I did watch the TV series that he did. That never really appealed to me. I thought he was good in the last movie he did. I think he was okay in the Fast and Furious franchise. He seems like quite a down-to-earth kind of guy. Yeah, I think he's all right. I don't think he's as good as Dwayne Johnson or Bautista, though.
Said he wasn't receiving equal opportunities in the wrestling business, Bautista made the decision to leave the sport in 2010.
I quit!
Despite the fact he, in his own words, couldn't have cared less about acting and felt like he was only just coming into his own as a wrestler, he decided to become a full-time actor. At the time, he also only had one major non-wrestling related acting credit, having played the brutish villain Eldar in a single 2006 episode of Smallville. The part made conspicuous use of his hulking physique and wrestling abilities, and required little in the way of dramatic acting chops.
Your blood must make you strong. I should taste it.
Which is to say, it was pretty typical of the type of roles wrestlers have traditionally been used to fill in Hollywood. If you watched our video about why nobody saw John Cena's acting career coming, then you know wrestlers are mostly used in parts that emphasize their size, ability to perform stunts, and deliver one-liners.
I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of heat time!
There have been exceptions.
I love that scene. You're going nowhere.
Andre the Giant stole our hearts as Fezzik in The Princess Bride. The Rowdy Roddy Piper is a legend for playing the hero in John Carpenter's They Live, but neither made a career out of it. According to Bautista, he was offered plenty of such parts in low-budget and direct-to-DVD schlock during his first few years as an actor, and he had to take a few of them to get himself established in the business. But despite the fact his new career was going so badly he had to sell pretty much everything he owned and financially start from scratch, he did his best to avoid clogging his IMDb page up with the stereotypical wrestler roles.
God, I didn't know that. I thought he was pretty much okay in financially. I didn't know he got to the point where he'd given up almost everything to do movies. Jesus.
Instead, he worked with an acting coach to improve his dramatic skills, while becoming as picky and choosy as possible about what projects he signed on to. A small role in RZA's 2012 film The Man with the Iron Fists led to a slightly larger one in Vin Diesel's 2013 Riddick, and that would get him an audition for a Marvel movie based on the then obscure comic book superhero team, the Guardians of the
He was really good in that Riddick film. I must admit, he was really good in that.
Galaxy. With rumors constantly flying that more famous actors were being looked at for the role, Bautista would be made to repeatedly re-audition for the part of Drax the Destroyer. The process was apparently so grueling that when he found out he got the part, he had to pull his car over so he could cry and couldn't stop himself from shaking when he told his wife.
We've already established that you destroying the ship that I'm on is not saving me.
When did we establish?
Like 3 seconds ago!
I wasn't listening. I was thinking of something else.
But we can now easily say it was worth it. Bautista turned out to be perfectly cast as Drax, and Drax
Yeah, I love Bautista as Drax. Drax is just hilarious. He's the funniest guy in the Marvel films.
a surprisingly layered character that gave the former wrestler a way to show off both his comedic and dramatic abilities, was, at the time, the perfect role for Bautista.
Yeah, he played it perfectly. Absolutely perfectly.
Directed by James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy was a massive hit, and the awkwardly literal Drax character was an instant favorite of audiences throughout the world.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
After that, things turned around real fast for Bautista, and the offers started rolling in. The actor, however, would remain picky about what he worked on and who he worked with, a strategy that has left the list of directors he's acted for looking like a who's who of respected modern auteurs. For example, his next major role would find him sharing the screen with Daniel Craig's James Bond in 2015's Spectre, directed
Oh,
by
I didn't know he was in that. I can't stand the James Craig. I don't know. I can't stand the new modern Bond films. I just hate them.
Sam Mendes. Then, after reprising his role as Drax in 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, he mixed it up with Ryan Gosling and Denis Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049. Bautista apparently made an impression on the director because Villeneuve would invite him to play an important villain in 2021's Dune, and its sequel, which was arguably the most highly anticipated movie of 2024. But before that, Bautista would show off his comedy skills once again as YouTuber and murder victim Duke.
I enjoyed that film. He's done a lot of things that I've really liked. That was a really good film. Layer Cake took me ages to see it. I finally watched Layer Cake. It was on YouTube, on Netflix. And I finally watched it, and I actually really enjoyed it. Daniel Craig. I even liked Daniel Craig in that. which is the main reason I hate the Bond films with him in it.
Cody and Ryan Johnson's widely praised 2022 Knives Out sequel, Glass Onion. He would also
Glass
reprise
Onion,
his
sorry.
role as Drax in a Guardians holiday special, as well as a third part of the trilogy, a slew of Avengers movies, and a Thor sequel. Of course, not everything Bautista has done has been quite up to his usual high standards. The 2019 buddy cop comedy Stuber, for example, was praised for the comic chemistry between Bautista and Kumail Nanjiani, but didn't exactly set the world on fire.
There's no gas! It's an electric car!
You got an electric car that doesn't use gas?
And 2020's My Spy, which teamed Bautista up with a little kid, was a cliche
not seen
family-friendly action comedy right out of the traditional movie tough guy actor handbook. And of course he still takes on the occasional generic tough guy role here and there, like the Escape Plan sequels and Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead movies. After
They
all,
were good.
Dave Bautista
The Army of Dead films are really good.
has bills to pay like the rest of us. The point is, though, he could easily be raking in the cash by cranking out forgettable, interchangeable action flicks like a certain other high-profile ex-wrestler, but in Bautista's own words, I never wanted to be the next Rock. I just wanted to be a good f***ing actor. And it's hard not to say he's succeeding. While Dwayne Johnson seems more concerned about never playing a character that loses a fight, and John Cena is just out here living his best life, Dave Bautista
I'll get to John Cena. He does a lot of things a lot of people wouldn't do for a good joke. But yeah, there's actually Dwayne Johnson actually has a clause in his contract saying that he cannot lose a fight. Apparently, when he did the Fast and Furious movies, it made it really, really hard to allow Vin Diesel and The Rock to never lose a fight because they both had that clause that neither one can ever lose a fight.
Bautista continues to pick artistically interesting projects that challenge him as an actor. For example, he recently lent his voice to the American dub of Hayao Miyazaki's Academy Award-winning 2023 animated feature, The Boy and the Heron, and starred in M. Night Shyamalan's 2023 horror film, Knock at the Cabin. But
That's it, Knock at the Cabin. That was if you haven't seen it, go watch Knock at the Cabin. It is such a good film.
Bautista himself considers the latter a major leap forward in his acting career, citing the huge pages of monologues he was given by Shyamalan. According to the actor, it was not only the most dialogue he ever had to deliver in a film before, but because they were shooting on expensive film from a single camera, there could be no edits, and every take had to be perfect.
This is kind of the opportunity that I've been wanting for years and years and years.
There are likely more leaps forward coming in his future. For example, starring as Beowulf in Robert D. Kwiatkowski's forthcoming version of Grendel, in which he'll share the
Nice.
screen with heavyweights like Jeff Bridges, Bryan Cranston, and Sam Elliott. After parts like that,
Well, apparently for the Knock in the Cabin film, he had to get like over 300 pounds, and it was about 260. So he gained like load more mass to do that film.
a leading role in a non-action-based dramatic film seems almost inevitable for Bautista. As Ryan Johnson once said, someone is going to give Dave a real dramatic lead role in a movie, and they're going to look like a genius. As his star continues to rise, Bautista has said goodbye to the role that made him famous, Drax the Destroyer. In his own words, "I'm so grateful for Drax. I love him. I just don't know if I want Drax to be my legacy. It's a silly performance, and I want to do more dramatic stuff." And he's dead serious, even going as far as to say he would work for free if Denis Villeneuve, or presumably another director of that caliber, would make him #1 on the call sheet. And it's gonna happen sooner or later because
I mean, that's a smart idea, saying I'll do it for free. If it puts you into a prime position for doing, even though you're not going to make anything for it, you'll get your name and money will come afterwards. Genius idea. But yeah,
Dave Bautista is exactly what he hoped to be, a good f***ing actor. So what do you think? Are you
yeah. Check out the channel. I'll put a link to the video down below, like as always, guys. But no, I really like Dave Bautista. I think he's a really, really good actor, and I've enjoyed a huge amount of his content that he's created, so, and films that he's been in, as well as him being a wrestler. So yeah, what you want to watch the Why Nobody Saw John Cena acting career coming? Okay, well I'll put